Starting this game, looking at the lines, it looks like Revolver will be starting on defense, Doublewide on offense. We've been saying it all weekend. We have a very windy conditions here at the fields in Sarasota.
I actually think that's Revolver starting on offense. Doublewide will be starting on D. You have the offensive line of Josh Wiseman, Ashlyn Joy, Hester, Bo Kittredge, Robbie Cahill, Cassidy Rasmussen, and Mark Schlag. The other side of the field, we have Doublewide. That's Kurt Gibson, Tim Garrett, Jake Anderson, Kevin Richardson, Dalton Smith, Steve Walsh, and Rory Orloff. Talking with Kyle Van Auken before the game, having Jake Anderson here. He was unable last year to compete against Doublewide or against Revolver. He was at a wedding. He's a very big, athletic player, can go up against Bo Kittredge, who's been a long time one of the best receivers in the game, very fast. Interesting matchup all day long. Also, this wind, it seems to have changed directions from the first half of the tournament. It was going from right to left across the field. Now it's going left to right, but still downwind. And there's Kurt Gibson with the big forehand pull. Cassidy Rasmussen to take it to the line. And we're underway.
Cassidy Rasmussen going to bring this disc to the front of the end zone. As we said, we see him back handling.
Marked by Walsh. There's Cahill out in the lane. Richardson playing very physical defense. And Dalton Smith with the huge layout block. First throw of the game. Young player on Doublewide.
A relative unknown on a team of really big stars. Dalton Smith making a big play, and we see Kurt Gibson trying to dish it off.
That's the Anderson-Kittredge matchup with a little flip. Lots of contact. Both players hit the ground.
I think Anderson had a pretty good possession of that disc as Kittredge came into him from behind. Ruling is going to go to the observer.
Observers today wearing green, different from the common orange color.
Needing to contrast Revolver's red.
So the observers rule it was a foul. It will be Anderson's disc just outside the end zone. He will be marked by Kittredge, coming in stalling 0.
Just gets tapped in. Anderson dishes it off to Garrett, and Garrett jumps in the end zone. Doublewide starts off with this game with a break.
Downwind break. Big momentum swing, much different from yesterday. Of course, earlier on Next Gen Network, we saw Revolver completely dismantle this Doublewide team. They took half 8-2, went on to win 15-3. Of course, Doublewide saving a lot of their stars.
And what a D by Dalton Smith. As I said,
where'd that guy come from?
Yeah, Doublewide, a team full of really big names, and Dalton Smith, relatively unknown. We've seen him on the D-line before, and Revolver, I'm sure, wasn't expecting that player to make the game-changing play. We'll see how this plays out for the rest of the game.
And that's a D on Josh Wiseman. Josh Iceman Wiseman, cutter from Stanford, very, very fast. I'm sure that will calm any nerves that Dalton Smith was feeling.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the game, we were talking to Doublewide's coaches, Kyle Van Auken, asking him, you know, what's the difference between this game and the last time you played them? They said simply the first 3 points. If we're able to do well, get the big important break on that first upwind like they had against Ironside, they feel confident that they can stick with Revolver throughout the rest of the game.
Cahill to Joy. Joy's first year on the O-line, been playing a lot of D-line. There's Jordan Jeffries catching it in the lane. Jeffries to the Iceman Wiseman. Now Cahill with it, marked by Loscorn. There's Joy in the lane. Cahill back to Rasmussen. Across the field to Jeffries. Jeffries putting the backhand. There's Max Cook with a big layout D.
Two
Double
great
wide.
Ds from Doublewide at the beginning of the game. They are coming out here and they're just taking the disc away from Revolver. Now Kurt Gibson in possession. He's the guy we want to watch out for. Will probably be in every other going upwind.
Nice grab there from Richardson. Here's Gibson with it, having a lot of throws for Doublewide. Now Garrett marked by Cahill, and Garrett puts the forehand out. Forehand dives Revolver, getting a chance to convert this offensive point. Cahill picks up. Richardson on the mark. Kittredge streaking deep. Now Cahill looking dump to Rasmussen. Not much action downfield from Revolver. Disc over to Cahill. Cahill holstering the huck. Anderson guarding Kittredge deep.
Good break by Cahill to switch the field.
Now Schlag with it, marked by Max Cook. Kittredge. High release to Joy. Joy putting the backhand out to space. First-year player on the team, Jordan Jeffries, going up with the left hand over the Callahan Award winner, Tim Garrett.
Yeah, great.
Welcome to the big show.
Great play by Jordan Jeffries, and one thing I'm already liking about this game is we're seeing a lot of young stars making big plays for both teams. Jordan Jeffries, as we had mentioned, in his first year on Revolver, and goes up big over a veteran player, Tim Garrett. Tim Garrett, first year on Doublewide, but he's been in this championship game with Sockeye many times. And that type of big play from the bottom of your roster is going to be a huge difference maker in the game.
Now we have a defensive line here for Revolver. That's Captain Yo, Casino, Sherwood, Canner, Watson, Taylor, Martin Cochran.
First look at Doublewide's offensive line. Down there's that Malonson, David Malonson, Cole Sullivan, Kieran Thomas. I believe
that's Andrew Walsh, Nattenberg, Driscoll, and Cook. That's Melisone receiving the pull, centers to Nattenberg. There's Kieran Thomas out in the lane. Nattenberg finds him. Thomas guarded by Martin Cochran. Coach Josh Greenow saying that Martin Cochran will be guarding the deep player on Doublewide. That's Thomas. Cook with it, marked by Sherwood. Excuse me, that's Nattenberg. Nattenberg puts it up. Disc sails over the head of Max Cook and Yo. Revolver with the chance to break upwind. Get that early break back. See Bart Watson, one of the better players in the game.
Yeah, keep an eye on Bart Watson and his throws. Keep in mind, Revolver is working upwind. It's not a strong wind, but still 10 to 15 mile an hour winds blowing into the face of Bart Watson. And his first throw looks so smooth.
There's Mac Taylor rifling it downfield. Sherwood's there. Sherwood runs it down to Martin Cochran. And Revolver converts the break. They get it back, taking the lead 2-1 over Doublewide. Interesting story for Doublewide. There seems to be a lot of flow from those big Florida players. Brody Smith, Kurt Gibson, Tim Garrett, Chris Gibson, Cole Sullivan. It's the first time that the combination of Chris Gibson, Brody Smith, Kurt Gibson, and Tim Garrett have played together since the 2006 National Championship year when they won in college. Going to take a look here at the open division bracket. Doublewide upsetting the #1 seed Ironside 14-12 yesterday on the Next Gen Network. And then Revolver handling Ring of Fire. Revolver so hard to beat at bracket play. When the game's on the line, Revolver always seems to step it up at nationals. Definitely the team to beat here today.
Doublewide on offense, working upwind. Dave Melisson, Jake Anderson, Tim Garrett, Jeff Loscorn, Kevin Richardson, Kurt Gibson, and Rory Orloff. Gets past Garrett. Has the disc in the center of the field.
That's Garrett to Anderson, marked by Nick Chapman. Nick Chapman, speedy defender out of University Santa Cruz. Now Melisson with it, marked by Levy. Gibson with it.
There's a foul called or pick called downfield. Adam Simon and Jake Anderson had a collision. Simon guarding Garrett.
Sherwood taps it into Gibson. Gibson finds Garrett. Garrett marked by Simon. Garrett throws the flick to Kurt Gibson. Overthrows Gibson. Revolver's disc looking for a chance to break. Kevin Richardson getting up big. Neither player touches it. It sails over both their heads. Doublewide maintains possession. Melisson. Orloff. Garrett.
Garrett trying to go around, and a foul is called. Garrett being marked by Adam Chicken Simon. Simon from University of Colorado.
Now Richardson with it. We do have a call on the field. Be a pick called. Richardson marked by Taylor. Richardson breaks around to Jeff Loscorn, co-captain of the team with Mike Nattenberg. Observers signal goal. Doublewide ties it at 2. Game remains on serve. This is a much different start to this game between Doublewide and Revolver. 2 days ago in Power Pool, Doublewide went down 5-0 to start the game. Nattenberg dropped the opening pull. Here Doublewide getting the first point of the game on a break. Dalton Smith stepping up. There's Dalton Smith on the line again. Much different feel to this game.
Yeah, and Doublewide, that point, working it very patiently, upwind on offense, getting that upwind score, gets their defense on the line, makes the Revolver offense play a very tough point.
O-line here for Revolver. That's Wiseman, Anderson, Rasmussen, Joy, Cahill, Schlag, and Kittredge. Outside in, rolling pull from Garrett, rolls out right at the cone. Cahill to pick up. Excuse me, Schlag will be picking it up. Marked by Garrett. It's it off the line quickly to Cahill. Richardson with the backhand mark. Now to Joy. Joy marked by Gibson. Miscommunication there. Schlag stops his cut, decides to change direction. Joy had committed to the throw. Now Doublewide with an opportunity to get a downwind break. High release backhand from Kurt Gibson. to Kevin Richardson and Doublewide. Second break of the game, both of them coming downwind. Doublewide takes the lead, 3-2 on the two-time defending national champions.
Yeah, and that was the first time we see Revolver's offense just make a mistake. Doublewide's defense has been playing really well so far in the first couple points. That time, it might be what we call a pressure D, where everyone was clamped down on the receivers, and Revolver just having a tough time finding the open man, and an unfortunate mistake as they turn it over in their own end zone. Gives Doublewide an easy opportunity to score in one pass.
D-line here for Doublewide. We have Kevin Richardson, Kurt Gibson, Brody Smith, Chris Gibson, Cole Sullivan. It's Ryan Bigley and Tim Garrett. Those four Florida players together again, all on the defensive line.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a zone coming from Doublewide. Gibson has been playing very sparingly for Doublewide, one of the most well-known players in the game of Ultimate. Of course, he had a knee surgery earlier this year and hasn't been playing with Doublewide during the regular season.
Schlag with it. They are in zone. Cahill, the middle of the field, 10 yards outside the end zone. Schlag with it, up to the brick, back to Cahill. Cahill, scooper over the top. Devin Anderson comes down with it. Anderson back to Cahill, now centers to Schlag. Schlag across the field to Joy. Joy marked by Richardson. The big cup by Doublewide. All players above 6 feet tall, 6'2". There's Cahill faking the hammer. Brody Smith playing deep for Doublewide. Scuba over the top to Anderson. Cahill with it. Cahill hammers to Kittredge. Kittredge goes down on his knees to get that goal. Revolver ties it at 3s.
Great offensive movement.
Lots and lots of patience there. They were able to get through the cup. The cup never really locked them down. The stall count never got above 5. Yeah.
Revolver looking good, and a lot of that due to great movement from Robbie Cahill. Robbie Cahill kind of on that downwind trap sideline, and he was either getting it over the cup. We saw some scoobers going over the cup to his receivers downfield, or he was doing a great job breaking it across the field. And that's a tough throw because the wind is coming at you on a swing. Already when we saw Revolver with the disc on defense, they were just going for a standard wide open swing, and the disc popped up, goes over Mac Taylor's head. So you get an idea of how difficult that throw is in this wind.
O-line for Doublewide. Thomas, Nattenberg, Loscorn, Walsh, Driscoll, LeMasters, and Cook. D-line for Revolver, it's Cochran, Simon, Watson, Sherwood, Canner, Taylor, and James. Pull almost to the brick. Loscorn picks up. There goes Kieran Thomas streaking deep. Disc is out there. It's not going to come back. Revolver with an opportunity to get a break and take the lead in this game. Adam Simon to pick up. Adam Simon used to play for Johnny Bravo. Played his college days at Boulder, Colorado. High school at Paideia. Now Watson with it, marked by Loscorn. Watson back into Cochran. LeMasters almost the D. Cochran to Taylor. Taylor with a laser overthrow Sherwood. We have 2 overthrown hucks this game. The wind definitely a factor. These throwers, best throwers in the world. You can see still difficult to put the disc where you want it in a 15-mile-an-hour wind. Now Loscorn brings it to the line, marked by Watson. Loscorn to Driscoll. Driscoll having a huge tournament for Doublewide. Driscoll played very well in the Ironside semifinal game. Big plays, D's. Here's Thomas up the line just at midfield. Back to Nattenberg, marked by Canner. Canner, very physical mark. Bart Watson near D, Simon near D. Cook 10 yards out, high release, goes to Driscoll. Driscoll with the goal in front of Mac Taylor. Doublewide converts the downwind offensive point.
Revolver not happy with their throwing away an opportunity to get an upwind break. Normally known as a defensive line that values possession and has the players and the patience to keep that disc.
Driscoll played on the Next Gen Tour. He plays at University of Texas. Tough. Been playing Ultimate Frisbee for 3.5 years.
Taking a look at the stat leaders for Doublewide. On the assist side, Cole Sullivan and Tim Garrett getting a lot of their assists. Cole Sullivan, 14 assists. He's a first-year player and really does a good job being that similar handler in their vertical stack offense. For their goals, Kieran Thomas, as we mentioned, is downfield a lot, makes a lot of big plays. And Max Cook, someone you might not expect to get a lot of those goals, but he's a speedy receiver and knows when to get open.
Not a very tall player, but very high intelligence of field awareness. Now Doublewide on D. Schlag to Cahill. Cahill in the middle of the field. Wind starting to pick up here. Rasmussen marked by Orloff. Rasmussen across the field to Schlag. Gibson D's it as it sails over Schlag's, that's Joy's head. Gibson looking for something and finds one of the gold leaders, Max Cook. Doublewide gets an upwind break on Revolver. Doublewide wins the first third of this game, first 1-5.
Yeah, and just another mistake on Revolver's side, and very costly as it's a short field turn. That's the second break in a row that's just been Revolver making a mistake right in front of their goal line. Doublewide, no problem getting the disc quickly and punching it in.
Revolver's O-line, Anderson, Joy, Wiseman, Cahill, Kittredge, Jeffries, and Schlag. Coach Alex Jeschquire,
The coach for Revolver.
We were informed by Josh Greeno that this will be Jeschquire's final tournament with Revolver. We'll be moving to the East Coast, to DC. D-line for Revolver, Gibson, Richardson, Garrett, Walsh, Smith, Orloff, and Anderson. Forehand pull from Garrett. It's going to go out the back. Cahill will bring it to the line.
That's the second time we've seen the forehand pull from Garrett. It comes in really bladey and Gibson, excuse me. And Revolver hasn't even attempted to stop it from rolling out the back. They seem to be content with letting their receivers get set up and walking the disc up to the line. Almost a repeat of the first play as Iceman gets the disc being marked by Smith.
There's Cahill marked by Richardson, up the field to Jeffries. Jeffries marked by Walsh. Do have a pick called. Will be coming in stalling one. There's Jeffries with it, player out of Stanford. Now Cahill, also from Stanford. Cahill up the line to Schlag, also out of Stanford, back to Cahill. Richardson gets his hand or his foot on it, disc goes up. And Devin Anderson comes down with it in a pack of people. Then Jeffries jumps into the end zone. That's his second goal of the game. First-year player making things happen. It looked like Richardson on that D might have kicked Cahill's hand. I believe Cahill called foul. Be interested to see if that has any bearing on Cahill's throws.
Later in the game?
Later in the game.
Yeah, and still with the tip, that was a very impressive throw by Cahill. We'll get another look at it, see if Richardson, excuse me, gets a tip. But that disc still going a good 50 yards upwind. And a very playable disc for Revolver as they're able to clean it up and punch it in. And Doublewide takes a timeout here to focus on an upwind offensive point. On the first timeout of the game, we're going to take a quick break too. Please stay tuned for the Open Finals here in Sarasota, Florida.
Welcome back to the 2012 USA Ultimates Open Final. Got Doublewide taking on Revolver. Doublewide up on Revolver 5-4. Revolver just scored upwind. Let's see if they can continue their scoring. There's Taylor with the forehand pull. Interesting play there as the blade pull gets past Cook. He touches it. Because he touched it, it rolled out of bounds, so he had to take it at the line. There was a player back there, a Doublewide player who stopped the roll and put it right on the line. Now Melisone with it to Gibson. Sherwood on him. There's Driscoll. Ooh.
The whole foul
big
call
collision between two big players. That's Driscoll and Kittredge. Now Melisone to Driscoll. Melisone putting it to
Kieran Thomas picks it up. Max Cook tries to get a hand on it, doesn't realize that Thomas is behind him. With the velocity to throw, gets through Cook's hands, still gets to Kieran Thomas. One of the goal leaders for Doublewide.
That's Gibson to Driscoll. Big collision. Then Melisone fires it up the field, clearly going for Thomas. Max Cook macks it to Thomas. Thomas, that deep player, that deep threat. First year back on Doublewide. Of course, he played at Texas, then played at Chain last year, brought it back to Doublewide. Kieran Thomas converting the upwind goal.
Yeah, Kieran Thomas and Tim Garrett, two big players that came with a lot of club experience.
Earlier in the game, we took a look at Doublewide's stats. Now we're going to take a quick look here at Revolver's stat leaders for the tournament. We got Bart Watson, of course, leading the team in assists with 13. Cahill up there. Then goals, Kittredge, of course, scoring 14 goals. Then Devin Anderson, player making a play before. Surprising to see Bo Kittredge with 14 goals and 9 assists. Of course, he's going to be getting a lot of those deep throws just outside the end zone. I'm sure that's where he's getting a majority of his assists from. Pull from Garrett. Schlag takes it down, centers to Cahill. Cahill marked by Richardson. Cahill around to Joy. Gibson been guarding Joy all game long. Now in the center of the field with Schlag. Schlag back to Joy. Kittredge out in the lane. Anderson, of course, guarding him. Now Kittredge with it. Travel called. I'm impressed with Doublewide's ability to work that disc all the way from the back of the field, the entire 90 whole yards up the field, 95 yards up the field to get in the end zone. Disc back in play. Now Kittredge, marked by Anderson. Kittredge backhand to Hester. Hester ripping a backhand to Robbie Cahill.
That floats beautifully as Cahill is able to run it down into the end zone.
A wonderful backhand hook from Hester. Hester playing his college days at California, Santa Barbara. Played club with the Condors. Rips a backhand down the field. Cahill tracks it down.
And Cahill, as we were saying, is an assist leader, but still a very dangerous cutter. Very smart in the air, and when he gets the opportunity to get past his defender, he will take it.
Yeah, Cahill, dangerous on both sides of the ball, cutting and throwing. Also a great defender. O-line here for Doublewide: Thomas, Smith, Melisone, Loscorn, Nattenberg, Cook, and Driscoll. Of course, Brody Smith's status for this tournament was in question, coming off a torn meniscus. However, a player with his big throws definitely want him out there in this type of wind.
Adam Simon with a flick blading pull. And again, Doublewide tips it. They have to take it all the way back in their end zone. Sam Canner almost gets a piece of that.
Now Cook with it, Loscorn on the sideline. Loscorn marked by Wynn. Wynn all over the place on the mark. Dumps to Nattenberg. Nattenberg marked by Canner. Nattenberg inside break to Smith. Smith unleashing a forehand to Loscorn. And Russell Wynn, very dynamic player, makes highlight play after highlight play. There going up against Captain Jeff Loscorn.
Yeah, Russell Wynn from the University of Santa Cruz, a big player on this D-line. At the Worlds Tournament in Japan earlier this year, we saw him make a lot of big plays. He's explosive. He puts his body on the line. And that time, a huge opportunity for Revolver to get a break here.
Revolver working it with their handlers. That's Simon over to Canner. Canner backhand to Taylor. Taylor marked by Driscoll. And Taylor putting a flick out there to space. Sails over the head of Levy. Doublewide having to go 70 yards up the field to convert this offensive point. Melisone marked by Levy. Levy last year making an enormous play on the first point of the game. A layout hand block on Matt Rebels. Very dangerous marker. Low release backhand. Nattenberg with it. Nattenberg fakes the backhand now to Thomas. Thomas inside to Melisone. And there's John Levy with the big hand block. Gets broken earlier in the point. However, there gets the hand out.
Great premonition, Jackson. Just talking about Levy's big hand block last year, and we see him a few throws later get a big paw out there, and Revolver is going to take the timeout with a chance to break Doublewide and tie this game back at 6s. For their timeout, we're going to take a timeout too. We will be back here for the conclusion of the first half, the men's open final.
Welcome back to Florida. Revolver, big opportunity here to get a break, tie the game back at 6s. Doublewide getting a first break of the game. Revolver answering, then Doublewide getting another break. Here's Watson, marked by Smith. Watson dumps to Simon. Simon putting the backhand. Bart Watson getting on his horse, however the throw sails out of bounds. Now Loscorn brings it to the line.
Two mishucks from Revolver, really throwing a tough throw on that downwind, and Loscorn trying to get it out of his area. Kieran Thomas can't get a hand on it, but he is going to call a foul.
I don't know about that one. It didn't look like Chapman was trying to initiate contact. Thomas ran back trying to get to the disc. It just so happened that Chapman was in the way. See, Chapman runs.
Chapman, though, it seems like he was watching the disc, knows where it's coming down, and then he turns and looks at Thomas and makes a beeline towards Thomas. maybe trying to initiate that contact to get a body in it, but he doesn't do it cleanly. And so Kieran Thomas is going to get the disc on a foul call.
Nattenberg alone in the end zone. Now the rest of the double wide players follow suit. Disc hangs. Jeff Law scoring. Look what I found. Backhand to Kieran Thomas. Kieran Thomas scoring his second goal of the game. Double wide converting a very big point upwind. Revolver with an opportunity to get a break and tie it at 6s.
Yeah, you can see that the Revolver defensive line is not happy with what just happened. They had 2 chances to get a break downwind.
Almost looked like Wynn caught it first. Anyways, Loscorn came down with it, finds Thomas. On that turn or that huck from Simon, I wonder if the stall count was getting a little high. He's forced to jack it down the field. There really was not a whole lot going on down there. He overthrew Bart Watson by a good 15 yards. Now double wide, looking to take half against the 2-time defending national champions, Revolver. D-line here for double wide. Walsh, Richardson, Kurt Gibson, Tim Garrett, Jake Anderson, Dalton Smith, and Rory Orloff.
Kurt Gibson set the pull. Gonna be a flick pull. And again, we see Revolver let it roll. I had mentioned earlier, I was a bit confused why Revolver was letting it roll, and then in the next few points, double wide was trying to stop it, and they tipped it, and it went out the back. So Revolver opting to let the defense get position to get those free 20 yards instead of risking losing space on the field.
Cahill, big pump fake, pulls off Orloff. Schlag to Wiseman, marked by Smith. A huge layout deep from Kevin Anderson. That came out of nowhere. Anderson looking for a dump to Tim Garrett. That was Richardson with the D. Now Anderson.
Oh. Jake Anderson gets a hand on it, but it seemed like he dropped it after he had already rolled and hit the ground. Unfortunate play. Not able to take advantage of a huge D from Kevin Richardson.
Cahill with it, marked by Richardson. Cahill around to Joy. Joy marked by Gibson. Just sails over the head of Bo Kittredge.
Kittredge is probably going to call a foul here. A look at that defense from Kevin Richardson. He is guarding off the mark. Taking another look at that foul. Anderson coming into contact over the shoulder of Kittredge. Head observer Greg Connolly is there to make the call. It sounds like the disc is going to stand as a turnover.
Tim Garrett with it. Will be marked by Rasmussen. Big opportunity here for double wide, getting a downwind break. Opportunity to take half 8-5 on Revolver. Garrett to Gibson. Back to Garrett. And Garrett burns the timeout. It's a very, very important point for double wide. As the players take a timeout, we will too. Please stay tuned for more action from the men's open final.
Welcome back to Sarasota, Florida. Double wide in possession of the disc here in the men's open final of the 2012 United States Ultimate Club Championship. Double wide on their second opportunity to score here, to break downwind, to go into half. Garrett goes around to Kevin Richardson, but there seems to be...
Cahill is making some sort of call. I believe he's calling violation.
Maybe Richardson moved before the disc got tapped in. Stall count coming in on 5.
Double wide in a diagonal stack, stretching back towards the back corner of the end zone, creating space for Richardson. He throws to that space. Richardson has it 5 yards outside of the end zone. Low throw to Gibson, and Joy reaches in and knocks it away. Cahill with the disc. Cahill throwing the backhand to Bo Kittredge. Disc turns over. It will be Doublewide's disc. Doublewide with another opportunity to get a break for half.
Cahill taking that shot, not a 100% throw, but they don't want to risk another short field turn. They've already had 2. They want to see if their defense can stand against this double-wide offense.
Gibson going deep to Anderson, and Robbie Cahill. As we said before, dangerous on offense, also dangerous on defense. He's been a focal point of this Revolver team, been a captain as long as they've been around. Cahill making chase. Swats that one away from Richardson. Revolver's disc again. Schlag picks up. Marked by Orloff. Cahill moving in the backfield. Disc pops up. And Cahill comes down with it, almost a Callahan by Richardson. Cahill marked by Gibson. And Cahill forced to put it deep. Another jump ball. Everyone's there. That's Bo Kittredge doing what he does, coming down with 50-50 balls.
Revolver's going to keep possession. And Josh Wiseman gets hit in the back, knocked down. Wiseman, one of the shortest in the pack.
A stall was called. Head observer Greg Conley observing no stall. The disc did get out of his hand, so it will stay downfield with Kittredge. Kittredge marked by Anderson.
Revolver catching a huge break there, nearly throwing the Callahan, nearly getting stalled out in the end zone.
We have a call here. Doublewide really tightening it down on defense, shutting down almost all of Revolver's offensive looks. Jordan Jeffries deep, trailed by Richardson. Schlag also open on the wide side. Kittredge goes to Schlag. Schlag to Jeffries, marked by Richardson. Kevin Richardson sticks his hand out, gets a piece of the D. Jeffries calling foul. Players discussing.
Jeffries probably arguing that the disc was still in his hand when it got tipped away. Having a conversation with Kevin Richardson. Seems to be uncontested as the stall's coming in at 0.
Back to Schlag. Up the field to Kittredge. Kittredge low, backhand to Cahill. Cahill marked by Gibson. Cahill fakes the backhand. Throws it into the back of Rory Orloff. Looked like he was trying to squeeze it through a window. And Tim Garrett unleashing a hammer. That's Robbie Cahill's second big D of this point. Gibson down. Landed hard. Just lands on his backside. Gibson needing a minute to catch his breath. He will remain in the game.
Yeah, Robbie Cahill doing a great job keeping his team alive.
Captain of the team, you got to step up, especially at Nationals. Cahill to Schlag. Schlag up line. We have a pick downfield.
So the pick was called when Cahill had the disc and initially threw it to Schlag. So because it didn't affect the throw in the backfield, the disc will stay at Schlag. but you only get one continuation throw.
Schlag marked by Orloff. Cahill rips it downfield. Kittredge is there.
Kittredge on the sideline.
That is a big man making a big athletic play. Unfortunately, Kittredge does not come down with it. And Gibson putting it to the end zone. Walsh is there. Walsh with the two-handed grab between the two Revolver defenders. That's Joy and Robbie Cahill. Doublewide rushing the field, stoked after taking half, 8-5.
And again, we see big plays coming from relatively unknown players on this Doublewide team. That is huge for them. Doublewide taking this game into half, 8-5. Don't forget, for the second half of this game, you'll need to switch streams. And stay tuned, as we are going to have an interview with the head of the United States Ultimate, Dr. Tom Crawford. Please stay tuned in to catch that. United States Ultimate, Dr. Tom Crawford. Please stay tuned in to catch Hello and welcome to the second half of the 2012 United States Ultimate Club Championship Open Finals. Revolver taking on Doublewide. Doublewide leading this game 8-5. And here we go right into the action.
That's David Melisone over to Mike Nattenberg. Back to Melisone. Now Cook with it, marked by Yo.
Starting off
downfield.
Starting off this half, Revolver's defense is running with a lot of intensity. This is a huge point for their defensive line. Doublewide is working upwind, and Revolver does not want to have another offensive point going upwind.
It's Melisone to Cook. Cook to Nattenberg. Nattenberg to Smith. Travel called on Nattenberg. Disc will go back. This is a crucial point for Revolver. You can bring it to within 2 if you score. If Doublewide scores, they're up 4. It's a huge momentum swing for this team. Smith with it, marked by Travis. Pick call downfield.
Smith probably on this offensive point for his big upwind throws. One of the best throwers in the game, one of the strongest throwers in the game.
Canner almost with the D. Nattenberg inside break to Cook. Cook backhand to Melisone. Foul called on Sherwood. No contest from Sherwood. Melisone. Diskin looking for a flick. Melisone up the line to Cook. Cook holsters the backhand. Thomas streaking deep. Nattenberg clearing up line. Nattenberg calling foul on Canner up line. No contest from Canner. Good spirit there. Cook marked by Captain Yo. Diskin. Cook around backhand to Loscorn. Loscorn toes the line. Lefty pumps the hammer. Now the around throw to Melisone. Turnover, Revolver trying to add to their momentum. Sherwood with it, marked by Melisone. We do have a call.
Travel called on the throw from Sherwood. Observer ruling that it is not a travel. Disc will stay upfield on the sideline at Zach Travis.
Will Driscoll on the mark. Coming in on 0. Disc in. Travis fakes upfield, goes back to Simon. Revolver working it around the field to Kittredge, creating space. Kittredge holsters the huck up the line to Sherwood. Inside break to Simon. Simon over to Kittredge. Kittredge with the backhand to Mark Sherwood. We do have a call.
Observer rules that it is a travel.
Very quick ruling there from the observers, keeping up pace of play. It's a travel on Kittredge. Loscorn will go back to where he was.
Sherwood has no one behind him in the end zone. He's making a subtle motion to Bo Kittredge, maybe to put it to him. See how what Kittredge is going to do when it's tapped in. Driscoll recovers quickly.
There's Simon looking downfield. Simon back to his dump. Sherwood back to Simon. Simon 15 yards out. Sherwood cuts up line. Simon back to Canner. Canner looking for the swing to Sherwood. Sherwood fakes the inside. Sherwood cross field to Canner. Canner up the field to Simon. Simon marked by Loscorn. Pick called.
Nice patience from Revolver's offense. They got pushed back a couple yards, but they're willing to take those safe reset throws behind the disc. They really need to keep possession here to punch in the goal.
Will be coming in on 4. Simon with the disc, marked by Loscorn. Revolver, very messy offense downfield. Sherwood with it. Sherwood over to Yo. Sherwood up the line. Cook poaches off. Back to Simon. Travis wide open across the field. Canner holsters, throws inside to Sherwood. Sherwood back to Canner. Canner with the swing throw to Martin Cochran. Martin Cochran toes the line. Observers signal goal. Huge momentum boost for Revolver. Cutting Doublewide's lead to 2. Doublewide with opportunities to cash that one in. That is a break for Revolver.
Yeah, and getting that critical downwind point was important for Revolver. And something else that I really liked in the second half that Revolver is going to have to continue doing throughout the game was that possession from their defensive line. In the first half, they had a lot of opportunities to score and get those breaks, but they were just throwing them away. A couple mistakes, bad throws into the wind, and a couple just real sloppy mental errors. Revolver's defense typically known for that possession-oriented offense. When they get the disc on defense, they're lethal putting it in. They haven't been doing that this game, and it's actually something that watching them this year, they've seemed to have struggled a lot, and teams have just been unable to take advantage of it. Doublewide, though, a strong team, a lot of experience under their belt, and they know how to take advantage of those big moments now. Revolver really need to clean up that play if they're going to come back into this game.
See how Doublewide responds. The break opening the half for Revolver. D-line for Revolver is Sherwood, Taylor, Chapman, Casino, Watson, Kittredge, and Wynn. Casino with the pull. Inside out. Gets it almost to the goal line. Garrett centers to Gibson at midfield. Breaks distance. Disc goes up to Richardson. And the Wynn knocks that one down. Revolver with another opportunity to get a break. Cut Doublewide's lead to 1. Watson picks up. Kittredge going deep right away. Taylor there. Gibson. Very uncharacteristic throw there from Mac Taylor. Winds up for a large outside in backhand.
Yeah, an unfortunate throw by Taylor, not what he wanted to do. But again, I think that was one of the mistakes that we saw Taylor do earlier today, where he tried to force an upwind throw, and they had plenty of time to work the disc.
Garrett to Gibson. Gibson toes the line. Marked by Taylor. Gibson, the around throw to Orloff. Changes field. Orloff putting the scuba up. Finds Richardson in the back of the end zone. Bart Watson there. However, Watson unable to climb the ladder and get that D. Richardson comes down with it. Doublewide pushes their lead back to 3. Revolver had a huge opportunity there to get an upwind break. Mac Taylor, unfortunately, throwing it straight out of bounds. You can see by his body language, just dejected.
And this throw from Orloff, he throws it and immediately kind of puts his hand to his head. When he was walking up to the line to celebrate, he was kind of shaking his head. Definitely not the smartest choice, taking a big risk, and he gets the reward.
I don't think any of these players really care how they get the point, as long as they get the point in this finals.
All right, that would have been something if it had been a turn. Orloff would have just been kicking himself for just making some kind of mental error. It works out for Doublewide, though. Their offense scores.
Doublewide 6 points away of being the 2012 national champions. There's Garrett with an outside-in pull. Barely lands out. Rasmussen to bring it to the brick. Richardson will mark him. Chris Gibson's in. Doublewide in a zone. Richardson on the mark. Robbie Cahill so dangerous with his over-the-top throws. Now Schlag scoobers to Rasmussen. Rasmussen finds Cahill. Cahill with that over-the-top hammer on a line to Ashlyn Joy. Joy inside. Oh, and the wind pushes that one just over Kittredge's head.
Yeah, Kittredge sneaks behind Gibson. Gibson being the last back and is wide open. Ashlyn Joy, unfortunate throw.
Gibson brings it to the line, marked by Kittredge. Garrett going up line. Gibson to Gibson.
The younger Chris Gibson to the older Kurt Gibson.
We do have a call. Kittredge is calling a pick, saying he was unable to set a mark. Gibson taps it in. Dumps to Garrett. Hester almost a D. Foul called by Garrett. No contest from Hester. Will be coming in on 0. Gibson back as Garrett's dump. Now Garrett inside throw with diving Smith. Sullivan's there. Smith looking for that forehand tuck, looking over the top, throws the inside throw. Smith to Sullivan. Now Gibson with it. Travel called on Gibson, seeing all of the Florida players out there on the field. Garrett, Gibson, Gibson, Sullivan, and Smith. Gibson with the foul call resets the count. The players are talking about it.
Bo Kittredge on the mark. Typically you see Kittredge downfield, but as the matchup worked out, I think this is a pretty good advantage.
Gibson takes a shot to the end zone. And Jake Anderson scores Doublewide with an upwind break. They take the lead on Revolver, 10-6. Very, very important point for Doublewide to convert there. Gibson enjoying the services of Jake Anderson. Last year, of course, Anderson at a wedding, unable to play the semifinal game between Revolver and Doublewide. Talking to Doublewide, they were very excited that Anderson was going to be able to match up against Kittredge. Anderson has been all over the field. Here we're going to get a look at some Revolver movement, possession-oriented, swings it back.
Yeah, this is when they score their downwind break. They are stuck on that sideline, but then right there, Adam Simon breaks it all the way across the field, and they're easily able to score from here. Just a lot of handler movement, domination, and then that is Martin Cochran wide open. The handler possession and patience is going to be crucial, especially on those defensive lines for Revolver to bring it back in. A lot of the times we'll see Canner and Simon.
Revolver, a Stanford-based team. Stanford known for running cut after cut, dump, swing, dump, swing. Lots of these players from Stanford. The thing that has made Revolver such a threat is the three big receivers they received from Johnny Bravo, Bo Kittredge, Martin Cochran, and Mac Taylor, essentially combining the studs from Stanford over their semifinals run. And the big receivers from Mama Bird has resulted in two-time defending national champions, world champion earlier this year in Osaka. However, in this game, they're down 4 to Doublewide. Doublewide looking for their first national championship. Core players of Kurt Gibson, Chris Gibson, Brody Smith, and Tim Garrett. First time playing together since 2006 when they won the national championship in college. Doublewide only 5 points away. There goes that forehand roll out of bounds. Bart Watson gonna bring it to the line.
Bart Watson in on offense. He's been playing defense mostly this weekend, but as the wind picks up, making the adjustment to have one of their strongest throwers in a very critical upwind point.
Really one of the best players over the last 7 or 8 years. There's Cahill up the line to Rasmussen, marked by Walsh. Rasmussen looking for something, forced to put it deep. Kittredge there, Gibson, Anderson goes up.
Bart Watson makes a grab and a foot block.
No, I believe that's Jake Anderson running through on Watson's windup. Revolver not having Watson for the entirety of the regular season. With a lot of injuries to this Revolver team. They approached Watson, asked him if he would play this year. To their delight, he agreed. Now coming down with that big one, marked by Gibson. Watson looking up line. Watson able to find Cahill just outside the end zone. Cahill calls foul. I believe that's a TMF there, issued to Tim Garrett. Excuse me, that's to the team. As it's a team misconduct foul.
Cahill just outside, flips into Bo Kittredge, and Revolver gets the upwind offensive point. Good movement from them. They're happy to punch that one in. And that last point, we just saw a TMF issued against Doublewide. For those of you at home not familiar with the rules, a TMF is a team misconduct foul. There are the first 2 team misconduct fouls are essentially warnings against your team, but on the third one, it results in a yardage penalty. If a team is on offense and they get a team misconduct foul, they move all the way back to what is known as the reverse brick. It is in the center of their own end zone, in the center of the field. If they're on defense and they get their third TMF, the other team's offense will get to start out on the brick mark 25 yards outside their scoring end zone. So right now for Doublewide, nothing to be worried about, but they have to be conscious that they have that under their belts and they can't make any more mistakes like that.
Here you can see behind Doublewide, there are players back there to stop the roll. In case there's a forehand pull, we have seen the disc roll out the back. However, it's a backhand pull, will not be rolling out. Nattenberg takes it down. Nice pull, center of the end zone. Melisone. Nattenberg, strong pivot up the field to Melisone. Nattenberg cutting up line.
Foul called between Max Cook and Tom James. Uncontested, so the count is gonna come in at 0.
First action we've seen from Tom James today. James, the 2009 Callahan nominee for Stanford. Max Cook on the sideline, marked by James. Cook looking to Melisone. Cook back with it. Backhand to Loscorn. Loscorn, big wind up, putting the backhand out. Melisone there. Melisone making a spectacular grab.
Reaching out in front of
Mark Sherwood. Mark Sherwood, known for being a physical player in the air. And Melisone on the painful end of that collision. Now Melisone with it, marked by Sherwood. Timeout called by Melisone. As the players take a timeout, we will too. Join us for more exciting action here in Sarasota. Welcome back to Sarasota. Doublewide looking to score this short possession opportunity to move 1 point closer to becoming the 2012 national champions. Gotta think the pressure is rising. Kieran Thomas peels out. There is a violation. The disc will go back. Kieran Thomas peeled off the stack early.
I wonder if Revolver is going to try to argue one continuation throw. The violation, if it happened before the throw, would mean that play would stop. The turnover wouldn't count. Tough break.
Fans here don't like the call. Does stay with Melisone. Melisone marked by Sherwood. That's Nattenberg peeling off the front. Lefty backhand to Max Cook, finds Will.I.am Driscoll for the goal. Doublewide increases their lead to 4. Revolver needing 8 points to come back as long as this game isn't capped. Doublewide only needing 4. It's twice the points, but certainly not twice the effort. O-line for Revolver.
We see on the screen Josh Greenow discussing with some of the Doublewide players. I'm unsure about what the discussion about. Maybe, probably about the rule of the turn.
Just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. There isn't any confusion.
The ruling on the field greatly benefiting Doublewide. Doublewide would have had a turnover on their goal line. Instead, they retain possession, are able to punch it in.
D-line here for Doublewide. Gibson, Garrett, Richardson, Smith, Anderson, Walsh. That's Dalton Smith and Brody Smith. Dalton Smith, freshman year out of the South region, plays for Texas A&M. Big plays already this game. Ashland Joy putting the backhand. Gibson putting his foot out, making the throw difficult for Joy to put out to space. That throw coming early in the count. I didn't see many cutters down there, almost looked like a punt. And Garrett answering right away, puts it up to Brody Smith, who comes over Schlag. Smith gets a hand on it, unable to close. Revolver. There is a foul called on the throw. We will have a ruling.
It's taking away. The two players talked about it. Tim Garrett revokes his call.
That's Mitch Dangler signaling no call. Robbie Cahill, low release backhand. Kittredge. Foul called on Jake Anderson. We've been seeing these players matched up against each other all day long. Doublewide appreciative of Jake Anderson being here.
Contested foul, so the count will come in, stalling 2.
Kittredge winds up for a backhand. Cahill's there. Cahill has it 10 yards outside the end zone. Rasmussen cutting in the end zone. And Bo Kittredge, there will be a call. Kittredge calling foul.
Bo Kittredge throwing the disc downfield, not something that you see very often.
Bo knows Hucks. That's Kittredge and Anderson reasoning with each other. Dangler ruling foul. Disc will stay with Kittredge, 5 yards outside the end zone. Critical point here for Revolver, needing to score as many as possible, as quick as possible. Kittredge looking for a dump. There is a collision in the backfield. It's a foul called. Stall count coming in on 4. Anderson marking Kittredge. Kittredge looking towards his dump. There's Cahill. Richardson with a large mark on him. Cahill to Schlag. Schlag to Cahill. Throw a little behind. Cahill able to maintain possession. Kittredge calling foul.
Another foul away from the disc. A lot of physical play from the cutters downfield.
Kittredge with the disc, coming in on 3. Cahill, marked by Richardson. Cahill to Joy. To Cahill. Pick called.
You see Revolver opting to take the safe throws even though they're moving a little bit further away from the goal line. Safe dump to Joy. Another one to Cahill. We'll see if he'll try to switch the fields.
Cahill inside.
What a shot.
And Kittredge falls over, finds the Iceman, Wiseman. Very big point for Revolver.
Bo Kittredge really showcasing his throws that point. As we said, not a player who's known for his great throws, but it's been something he's been developing a lot over the years, especially at Revolver. They've been using him as a handler this year, and that kind of confidence from a big thrower makes him dynamic, powerful all over the field. That's one of the things that makes Brody Smith, when he's in his top form, one of the toughest players to mark, because you can't allow Brody to go deep. He's a big man in the air, and you can't allow him to get an easy under because he can throw the ball anywhere he wants to on the field. Kittredge a little bit lacking in the throwing game, but there we see a nice break throw, falling over, but still getting it flat inside out to the intended receiver.
Kittredge, sort of an unconventional thrower, not the prettiest form in the world, but he's very effective with his throws. D-line for Revolver: Watson, Sherwood, Taylor, Levy, Bayless, his first point of the game, Canner, and Cochran. Coach Greeno talking about Bayless playing very well this tournament, seeing if he can be a spark plug, ignite this Revolver defense. Loscorn, a round break to Smith. Smith winds up and puts it to Will Driscoll. Mark Sherwood diving backwards, lands on his back, taking the disc away from Doublewide. Watson not wasting any time and puts it to Mac Taylor. Loscorn, huge D, he's down on the field. We do have an injury. Big point for Revolver, getting that downwind break, cutting Doublewide's lead to 2.
Loscorn being helped up off the field. He was holding his hand or his arm. What a D by Mark Sherwood, running backwards.
And he almost pirouettes. That was impressive.
And then Bart Watson going to Mac Taylor. Mac Taylor maybe stepping on Loscorn's hand after.
You can see Loscorn oftentimes when players make a large bid like that and they land on their chest, they get the wind knocked out of them. He needed a couple moments to catch his breath. You can see he's walking fine. Yeah, it looks like he just lands really hard on his chest.
And his arm, it was a very awkward angle underneath that disc. But what great play from Revolver. Mark Sherwood, been on this team since the inception of Revolver, and he comes up big to make the play. And then Bart Watson also stepping up into his role of being a great thrower downwind.
Bart Watson taking many big shots for this team. Goes for a killer right there.
Revolver at 9-11. They're not out of this game yet.
You never want to count out the 2-time defending national champions, world champions. Gibson picks up, marked by Canner. Kieran Thomas out in the lane. Thomas cuts under, gains 20 yards. Thomas to Cook, another big gainer, going up the live side. High release to Walsh. Kittredge almost with the D, now dumped to Garrett. There's Nattenberg cutting up line. Garrett, high release back into Cook.
Good job switching the field.
And Mac Taylor
lays out on the goal line in front of Will Driscoll. That's 2 big plays from Mac Taylor in the last 2 points, catching the score and then doing it on the defensive side.
You know Revolver is going to make a run, and we're just seeing the beginnings of it. Max Cook just a little behind Driscoll. There's Watson to Kittredge. Travel called.
And this is, as we've been saying all game, this is where Revolver has to find out if they're going to be able to keep possession and really work it upfield. They cannot afford to turn it over on a silly mistake.
Joy putting out space. Watson's there. He comes down with it. Watson putting it up the field.
Robbie Cahill laying out on the low throw. Revolver.
How much is Revolver enjoying having Bart Watson on the field right now? You see him throwing a monster outside in backhand to Taylor right in the end zone. And then there, catching it deep, throwing it low, but putting it in a place where he knows Robbie Cahill can catch it. Cahill, very impressive play.
Yeah, that's the second time. I don't think that throw was intended for Bart Watson. That's the second time we've seen him be heads up downfield. He caught a big 50-50 ball that flew over the pack. He was reading that disc correctly. And the momentum all on Revolver's side. Double wide offense, now having to work upwind.
Gonna be Very, very interesting to see how Doublewide responds. You know Revolver's gonna make a run.
Yeah, we are back into a game.
They've been the
Doublewide.
best team in the world for 3 years.
Yeah, and a lot of this, really, if we think about it, goes back to that huck that Bo Kittredge had going upwind. That was an offensive point that they're able to score upwind, which led to a big downwind defensive point. Relatively easier to get that break. And then with the momentum on their side and a big play from Mac Taylor, they're now within one. Doublewide working upwind.
O-line for Doublewide. Anderson, Richardson, Smith, Loscorn, Cook, Nattenberg, and Melisone. D-line for Revolver, Simon, Canner, Sherwood, Wynn, Cochran, Watson, and Kittredge.
Melisone bringing this disc to the brick mark, marked by Sherwood.
Doublewide in their standard vertical offense. Melisone dumps to Nattenberg. Nattenberg, nearly a D from Simon. Cook up the field to Anderson. Anderson with his second big drop of this game.
Whoa.
Oh, Kittredge. 8-yard hammer over the top.
Revolver quickly switches the field. Sherwood now in possession. Travel is called. Kind of steps past David Melisone there.
You can just feel Revolver running harder. And once they get the disc, they are very, very excited.
Hold on. We have a second TMF issued against Doublewide. Quite possibly for excessive travel calls. If the observers are continuously overruling for double team, excuse me. And Sherwood throwing a fake as Kevin Richardson is walking past. Doesn't see him running behind. Gets him right in the face. Quite a silly situation after a very somber Team F.
Sherwood dumps to Canner. Travel called.
Observers uphold the travel.
Canner, the clear up line now falls back. Sherwood high stall count. Doublewide able to take it back. Melisone swings to Cook. Cook marked by Simon. Now Melisone marked by Wynn. Melisone, low inside throw to Anderson. Nattenberg fumbles that one, able to hold on. Travel called on Nattenberg. Excuse me, it's a travel called on Smith. Smith marked by Watson. Smith to Anderson. Anderson to Loscorn. Sherwood. No contest on that foul. Disc will stay with Loscorn.
Disc will stay with Loscorn. Sherwood on the mark.
Loscorn putting it deep to Brody Smith. Little too far for Smith, and Smith is down.
Brody Smith shaped it up on the play.
Tough play for Brody Smith. As said before, when we were watching Doublewide and Ironside, Brody Smith is a big competitor. Even though he's injured, he's putting it all on the line for his team here in the finals.
Yeah.
He has that surgery on his knee earlier this year for a torn meniscus.
His coach, Kyle Van Auken, also his former teammate. Kyle Van Auken, when I asked him, is Brody there 100%? He said, mentally, certainly not physically. Smith
walking tenderly on that knee.
Difficult to come back so soon from a surgery on your knee. Trying to stay stable on that, especially when the disc goes up and you really need to push that knee, really pushing it to its limits. Gibson subs in. Not a bad guy to sub in for Smith, huh?
Certainly not.
Watson brings it to the line. You have to give credit where credit is due, and Bart Watson is making all the big throws for Revolver right now. Kittredge gets it on the sideline. Watson is done, marked by Gibson. And Bart Watson, a near drop. Then the scuba over the top to Simon. Simon to Sherwood. Revolver trying to score this downwind point. Watson, Scuba to Canner. Beautiful throw there from Watson. And Canner responds with a scuba of his own, and Martin Cochran unable to bring it in.
Martin Cochran was wide open.
Could hear him
just
call.
trying to get over the mark. A difficult catch to make, but one that Martin Cochran has to make.
Now Doublewide forced to go upwind. Sort of a crosswind coming from left to right into the players. And Sam Canner gets it back. We've seen Canner make big Ds against this Doublewide team. Watson picking up. Watson to Sherwood. Sherwood inches from the end zone. Marked by Gibson. Sherwood to Simon. Simon to Cochran. Nobody guarding Cochran. Runs freely across the line. And Revolver knots it up at 11s. You got to think Bart Watson's going to be taking a sub here soon. He's been on the last 3 points in the midst of Revolver's big run. No one is guarding Cochran. Looks like Max Cook was thinking about guarding him, but just never decided to actually guard him.
Yeah, in that red zone, end zone, Doublewide seemed to be playing more poachy than they were man. Just wanting to make sure that that upline throw is difficult, but as soon as Sherwood breaks it to the middle of the field, then they are out of position, and Martin Cochran, very smart cutter, sees the space and is able to get wide open, making up for his missed goal earlier. And Revolver doing a great job, and we've seen a lot of great plays by number 50 in the middle of your screen, Bo Kittredge. Big player with catches, but day he's been doing a lot with his throws. Just really reaching into the vault and making sure he's not that liability that he has been as a thrower. He's definitely improved, and that minor difference has been very big for Revolver's defense.
D-line for Revolver, Simon, Joy, Rasmussen on his horse going down, Taylor, Cahill, Kittredge, and Watson still in the game. Orloff with it on the sidelines. Orloff just sending a 50-50 ball. And Andrew Walsh comes out of nowhere, stays with it. Gibson lasers to Sullivan. Sullivan finds Orloff, and Doublewide stops the run of Revolver. Andrew Walsh, where did you come from?
Well, Andrew Walsh, this is the second time he's come up with a very important catch. He got that big goal going into halftime over 2 defenders. And again, in those 50-50 balls, we see a pile up of people, and it sails over them. It's the person who's reading the disc on the...
With these windy conditions and a lot of 50-50 balls going up, you see players jumping early and the disc hangs for a long time, or it's coming down really hot and the players are unable to read it. So even just trying to catch it where it's going, where the disc is going to land, almost seems as effective as trying to go up early and get it. That time, Andrew Walsh, pancake layout, making the crowd ooh and ah. We are 19 minutes away from soft cap. Of course, soft cap, you play the next point and then add two to the highest point total. Schlag with it. That's Joy, Cahill, Doublewide in their zone. Now Cahill, the zone tightens up. Easily broken by Cahill, Schlag, Joy.
Right through the middle of the field to Josh Reisman.
Kittredge with it. Again, Bo showing his arsenal of throws. We do have a call on the field. It's a travel called. Cahill with it. Been the field general for this team, this offensive team. Also the main player on Stanford. And a foot block from Kevin Richardson.
Cahill trying to go through the cup, and they're just able to crash on that hole
Gibson
quickly.
taking a shot to Brody Smith. Brody Smith runs it out, and Doublewide getting a break on Revolver, taking the lead by 2. You can see Smith is in pain.
Yeah, Gibson not 100%.
But he is not coming out. He is staying in. He wants, this is the biggest game of his life. He wants it. That's Kevin Richardson kicking a toe up. Gibson, a lot of faith in Smith. Wiseman, nice effort, unable to close. And Brody Smith tracking that one down. Brody Smith, a 2-time college national champion. Won it his freshman year in 2006, his senior year, his 5th year in 2010.
And he wants to be in this game. It's been an impressive run for Doublewide. As we have said, this is Doublewide's first time as a program in the club national championship, and they're taking on Revolver, a team that has built themselves up as a program starting in 2006 and has been in finals 3 years in a row, won it 2 times. Excuse me, well, this is their 4th year in a row in finals. Doublewide has been playing phenomenally, really putting a great show on for the fans here in Sarasota, Florida. A large crowd watching defending champions at a deficit, trying to claw themselves back into this game.
Cahill with it, marked by Richardson. Richardson fresh off a foot block. Now Watson, marked by Gibson. Watson to Schlag. Schlag cross field to Richardson. Cahill looks dump, then looks upfield to Anderson. Very costly turn here.
Devin Anderson,
Doublewide with some momentum. An opportunity to pull within 1 point of winning. Disc thrown up to Garrett. 3 Revolver defenders. Garrett able to come down with it. We have Revolver calling foul.
Ashlyn Joy calling the foul, saying that Tim Garrett bumped him out of the way. Greg Connolly, I agree with that call, saying no foul. Tim Garrett did make contact with Ashlyn Joy, but he's using his body to get that position. I think that's a legal use of keeping your defender at your back to get at the disc. Very smart play by Garrett to give Doublewide a great opportunity to score here.
Garrett, stall count getting high, finds Gibson. Gibson trying to step through the mark of Watson. Gibson calling foul on Watson. No contest from Watson. Orloff at the front of the stack. Anderson, Richardson, Walsh staying at the back. Gibson goes to the end zone and Doublewide getting their second consecutive break after Revolver comes back and ties it at 11. Revolver answers with a run of their own. One more point for Doublewide, and they will knock off Revolver.
Yeah, great job from Doublewide to get back in this game. I felt like when Revolver was on their run, it was kind of because Doublewide might have thought they had already wrapped up this game. They seemed to have dropped down the intensity while Revolver brought theirs up. But Doublewide responding well late in this game. And they get 2 breaks in a row and are 1 goal away from getting their first USA Ultimate Club Championship. And Revolver,
gonna get one more look here at that Anderson drop, hits him right in the hands.
just a mental mistake from Revolver. They've been giving Doublewide a lot of opportunities, which, as we've said, is something that is very uncharacteristic of this Revolver team, who's usually known as a team who likes to keep possession of the ball and make the other team take it away.
The fundamentals on Revolver are so high. To see a drop like that at the end.
Brody Smith in on what could be the last point for Doublewide.
Now Rasmussen with it, marked by Orloff. Rasmussen to Schlag. Smith now getting downfield to set the mark. Schlag to Rasmussen. Rasmussen putting it to Jordan Jeffries. And Dalton Smith starts the game off with a huge D on the first point. And here, the freshman of the year from the South Region.
South Central Region Freshman of the Year, Dalton Smith. Unknown before this game, he's going to be a name.
And Brody Smith taking a shot up to Cole Sullivan. Cole Sullivan comes down with it. He's only 3 yards outside the end zone, puts it up, and Rory Orloff.
The observers are going to rule.
There's going to be a call.
The question is whether the disc is up or down. Rory Orloff laying out very close to the ground.
Pivotal call here from the observers.
Observers ruled.
Observers electing to not make a call. Disc will go back to Cole Sullivan. They could not tell. It was too close. Oh, I like that call right there, but you don't want a championship to come down to
an observer
call.
But then again, you're having the championship come down to a redo on a play. I don't know if I agree with it. I think the observers need to step in and make a ruling. It shouldn't be, we didn't see it, so they get a second chance. That needs to be either a mistake throw or a great grab from Orloff.
On the field right now, there's a contested foul. Sullivan calling foul.
Maybe that's why it went back. If contested foul, the disc was going to go back anyway.
Hester on the mark. Sullivan to Orloff. And Doublewide is your 2012 USA Ultimates National Champions, knocking off San Francisco. San Francisco winning the previous 2 champions in 2010 and 2011. Very, very difficult to beat Revolver here at Nationals. Earlier in the tournament, Doublewide. An enormous loss to Revolver, 15-3.
Yeah, and Doublewide, a huge history of big games with Revolver. They lost to them, as you'd said. Revolver won the last 2 years. Revolver beat Doublewide in the semifinals. Doublewide being able to take on Revolver in a finals matchup, in their first finals matchup, and they respond. And one thing that I said that I really love about this game is that Doublewide is known for their star players, but it was those young guys, those new players that really made the difference. Dalton Smith opening the game with the D and ending the game with the D.
Someone came to play today, and their name's Dalton Smith.
And that guy waking up this morning.
He looks so calm, cool, and collected right now. You know he's just so excited on the inside. Also, big story of the game, the Florida players together again, Garrett and the Gibson brothers with Smith and Sullivan.
The first time Garrett, Gibson, and Smith have shared the field since 2006, and that was also Florida's first time in the 2006 championship and their first victory. Just exciting game here in the finals. Revolver making a good comeback in the middle of the game, but Doublewide just humming to play and really showing.
Doublewide all smiles down there. Gonna get one more look at Dalton Smith's final D.
I would definitely say that
there's
Dalton
his first
Smith is
D.
the MVP of this game.
And Rasmussen putting it out there to Jeffries, and Smith going up. Not scared of the pressure of a big tournament. Young player out of Texas A&M. Making things happen. So an exciting day of Ultimate here in Sarasota. Like to thank Elemental Technologies for encoding our material. Also like to thank our cameramen, Brian Bedord, Tim Gilligan, and Aki Odera. Director Vin Bowie, and replay operator Kimber Coles. And none of this would happen without our executive producer, Kevin Minderhout. For Tover Davis, I'm Jackson Kelsey. Vin, take us out.